Alright, so you're currently hanging from my air compressor. I don't have a tripod for my phone, but this is the Bonneville. It's put together. I had some issues with the speedometer drive on the rear wheel. The gear is broken, so I've ordered a new one. I'll get here soon, but it's put together. I also have to glue the tank pads on. I have them. I just need to go to work and get the adhesive, and then we'll have the tank pads glued on. This was just a quick repaint at work. It's not good. It was just get it done ASAP, get it on the bike for what little remains of the season. The rear brake is disconnected and the rear wheel isn't actually bolted in right now. The tensioners aren't in or anything like that, so it can't be driven. But the oil pressure is really good on the bike, a lot better than it used to be, and it starts really nice. So bike is cold. As you can see, the bike is cold. It does leak a little bit yet from the places it used to leak before, and I think it leaks from the rocker boxes, so we got to replace the rocker box gaskets. But it does seem to start fairly. I don't know if you'll be able to see the light, but there's an orange light in here for your oil pressure warning light, and that used to always be on at idle when it was cold, and now even at hot at 1,000 RPM, this thing just has amazing oil pressure. Motor has already been broken in. We'll turn our gas on. Tickle the carburetor. Tickle left-hand carburetor. And we'll go full choke. And we'll see if it'll start first kick. When I broke it in, it started second kick. So we'll see what happens. Cold, and I went choke all the way off. And it takes a good 3 seconds for the oil pressure light to come back on after it's been running. So that's a good thing. I still need to look, probably over the winter. The front forks definitely need an oil change, and they probably need to be looked at. And then I gotta get the speedometer going so that it can be driven a little bit this year. I have a new set of rubbers for the bike too, like a new kickstart rubber or shifter rubber and kickstart rubber and foot peg rubbers, but I don't know where I put those. I misplaced them. Yeah, the bike is back very nearly all the way. Just needs I just need that speedometer housing. Just to show you that speedometer housing. Ooh. Let's flip them. That speedometer housing is this guy. I installed the old one, but the gear is out of it. This one's a little broken. Pretty sure I installed it wrong. There's 2 little notches on a sleeve that's hitting the wheel hub, and I did not locate those notches. And I'm assuming when I bolted it together, I just cracked the housing and it broke the gear. So, gotta get a new one. Yeah, it starts all right, and it does idle. Does idle quite well. It killed out because it was cold. And these are more aggressive cams. When you have the this is only a moderate compression engine. It still needs some tuning. I'm just gonna need a carburetor rejet now. over the winter. Because we changed camshafts, we went to the half race cams. But even to idle at 1,000 RPMs with those lopier cams is, I'm very happy with that. The lifters sound good. To me, they sound good. The points are all dialed in. I mean, really, it is. The only issue is, performance-wise, is that when you just go wide open throttle right off a stoplight, it bogs down. This is the only one I've ever owned and ever ridden, so I don't know if that's just a characteristic of these bikes. I mean, I would assume with especially the more aggressive camshafts, it might be a characteristic. You got to sort of feather in the throttle because it's not a big engine. It's a 650. So you need to, once it's up in the higher RPMs, you can open it up a little bit faster, but I mean, it just seems to bog down. But I don't know if that's the design of the carburetor or anything like that. These Amel 930s are different than any other carburetor I've worked on. All the Japanese bikes run the constant velocity carburetors with the vacuum diaphragms, and like on my XS 750 before I crashed it, that thing you could just open it right up and it would just take off. Whereas this is just a throttle slide. It's just a door that slides up and down. And the needle is on that. So it's much more mechanical. I would liken it to mechanical secondaries on a 4-cylinder. You know, if I stomp on this, the needle on the needle for the metering jet goes all the way up right away. Whereas on a constant velocity, that vacuum diaphragm, I just open the throttle and then that needle moves with that diaphragm. So I'm assuming it is behaving like a mechanical secondary, like a double pumper or something like that. In which case would be normal operation. The right-hand side cylinder does run just a little rich, just a hair. Like when I do open it up, like when it's at 3,000 RPM and I open it up, it does a little poof of black smoke and goes away. But that's really one of the things. Then the oil leaks. When we got the bike, this side crankcase cover has always had issues. The holes were both the fill hole and the drain hole for this. So the fill hole on the case, and then the leveling hole on the case cover, and then the drain plug hole on the case itself were stripped when we got the bike. And I fixed them with the motor in, and it was a pain, and I sort of did a little bit better of a fix now, but it's also got a big dent right below the clutch access hole, and on the inside of the cover there was a crack which has been fixed. It's just I don't know, this side of the bike is in rough shape. I'm assuming this stand got kicked in and put a dent in that case and bent it. So I don't know if this whole case is just twisted and it will never seal correctly. I would assume that would be a problem, but that is the problem. And then the rocker box gaskets are leaking. You can see there's oil along the base running down. Obviously only when it's running, but that's really those are the easy oil leaks to fix. My push rod tubes don't leak. Which the last time this bike was, this one would puke oil when you were riding it. I mean, it looked worse because it would hit and it would spread out over the top of the motor, but it was very leaky. Top and bottom, these leaked very bad. There was oil running down the outside of them, but now they're clean. The bike has been heat cycled twice, and usually about the third time you find all the leaks that there are ever going to be. But really, I'm happy with it. It's not perfect for a first ever rebuild of a motorcycle engine like this, of a motorcycle engine in general. Actually, this is. I mean, I've rebuilt one Honda 350 motor from the 60s, but I haven't put it in the bike yet. I haven't gotten it running. But this I don't know. This is definitely very uniquely built. It's unlike anything else I've ever rebuilt, engine-wise. The design is very different. It's a lot sort of similar to this. It's both European designs. So it's just interesting. I learned a lot. And now that I've done it, it's like, it's such a simple thing, but to have the technology in this motorcycle, where back in 1971, full-size American cars, this bike came with a 4-speed manual transmission, and then I think in the later 70s they came with a 5-speed. And I mean, 5 gears in American cars were unheard of. And I don't know, just the machining. I mean, everybody gives these bikes a bad rap, but the technology is sound. They just made little improvements here and there, going from a single carburetor to twin carburetors. The oiling system, I think, is very well laid out. Nothing seems to starve. When you get one of these bikes, one of these 70s bikes, when you get the 50s and 60s, they seem to be a little more crude. By the time you get to the 70s, everything's been thought of, where to put an access hole. Like, this is removable, and this plug is here, so you don't have to pull the whole side off to adjust the clutch or to check your timing. So, just, I'd say if you're going to get one of these, and you're going to work on it yourself, and you're not a professional, like me. I mean, if you are not a professional, like me, who is not a professional, I'm not a professional. If you're a novice like I am, that's what I should have said, I would get one of these 70s bikes. They look slightly different, they aren't as classic, but they get the job done. It's that classic Triumph 650, which is just a phenomenal experience, phenomenal riding experience. So I'm about ready to wrap it up. I've got to completely reorganize the shop now, move things around and clean up. So that's what I'm going to do. But Triumph runs and is very nearly roadworthy. So I'll let you guys know once it gets ridden.